when I started, different. It was full time. It was full time in the sense that the contracts were 7 months long. So while it wasn't a 12-month contract, you would play for the season. So that would be sort of March, April till the end of September. So that's when you were sort of due back to training in March. But there was also an understanding that perhaps in those winter months you would go abroad and further your skill and keep in touch. But there was the capacity to go and do some work experience or potentially get a job in the winter. A lot of players did coaching and would keep fit and try and work on their skills, and then other young players might go off to Australia, South Africa to get to play for clubs out there where they might get a deal or an option to build themselves. So that was very much what I came into when I was younger. That then moved on to 12-month contracts where counties and professional teams wanted to have more ownership or control of players and their training regimes, and that largely came through the ECB, where more money and funding came from Sky. So Sky now would then, that money would filter down into the counties. The England would then give money to the counties to then have a bit more of a pot to invest in trainers and what have you, and players development, etc. And that's obviously just grown. And very much when I played, it was 12-month contracts. And to give you a monetary value, I think when you were sort of starting out, my first contract for 7 months was £11,000, which living in London and what have you was nigh impossible, and almost laughable when you think about it now. I think when you were a sort of first team player or regular, I think you're on a base salary of about £30,000, which again was very, very low. And then I think once you become a very established player and are playing good level of cricket, and you're a solid inclusion in the first team, and you're playing every game, and you're a good performer, I think anything from 60, 70 to £120,000 was kind of the benchmark of a decent senior player salary. Those have gone up now because there's been additions to players' contracts in terms of these white ball contracts, these shorter format of the game, so they can top up quite nicely. And then, of course, when you play for England, there's central contracts where England will then decide, okay, he's playing regularly. You now get a central contract, which I think was somewhere in the region of 160, 170,000 pounds and upwards. But then you'll get your match fees on top of that. So, players are making between £500,000 and £1 million if you're playing most formats and playing regularly. And, the top stars, with endorsements might be making £1.5–2 million and doing pretty well for themselves. But that would only be the top 4 or 5 players. I think a lot of players now in franchise cricket are making a lot more money. There'd be a tier there which would be making up towards some good money, maybe approaching £1 million, $1 million. Not everyone, but I think the amount of money in the game has certainly increased.